Hello, welcome back to Fireside Gaming. My name is Ben, and today we're continuing on with Suzerain. So last time out, we decided to form the secret police. We raised taxes on large corporations and lowered them on small businesses, as well as decided to completely reshuffle the management for the state construction group. So yeah, let's go ahead and just pick it up here. Looks like we got 2 reports, and then whatever's going on there at the story beat. Yeah, let's go to Rumberg first, why not? Queen Beatrice Livingston calls Swordland a threat to world peace. Queen Beatrice Livingston appeared on TV to call Swordland not just a threat to peace in East Maricopa, but a threat to peace in the entire world. She condemned the riots and police violence in Swordland, also expressing her worries about the direction Swordland is headed. She urged the Burgian army to secure the southern border, citing violent incidents in northern Swordland. Sweet. Alright, and from, Whole Sword, SSC Managers Replaced. After the recent order from the Ministry of Economy, the Sword State Corporation has reshuffled their entire managerial board with new experts suggested by Minister Hull. The new managers are getting used to their positions and have indicated they will do their best to meet current deadlines. Perfect. Alright, so looks like Laren for a visit and inspection of schools. As part of the planned program, we arrived in Laren to visit middle school. The prestigious Tornhill School was situated close to the suburbs, just outside of the city center. The building was flanked by 2 hills, each beautifully dotted with shrubs and flowers. Lucy and Ciara and I got out of our cars, met at the entrance. Our presence had not gone unnoticed. Apart from our guards, there were at least 10 reporters following us around.
Oh, that must be the principal. Right this way, sir.
The principal is a man of short stature with a bushy mustache and a pair of glasses. He approached us quickly, but was stopped by security guards. They started patting him down and searching him. It won't be necessary. Let him through.
Mr. President, such an honor to meet with you.
We shook hands, and I turned around and smiled for the cameras. Porters instantly snapped a few photos.
Welcome to our humble school.
Sorry about the security guards. It's a necessity. Standard procedure.
Excellent. You must be Mr. Gallard. It's a pleasure to meet you.
And Miss Waldo, so good of you to come all the way out here.
Thank you.
At the entrance, the school's motto was inscribed on the wall in giant letters. Instratensis era agnicar av gerenia int ola almargen voltena int ola mexis. I don't think I'm ever going to figure out how to pronounce that, but that's alright. Education is the promise of success, promise of progress in all societies and all families. We started walking through the gates. There were many students lined up in front of the stairs of the main building. The school band started playing as we entered. All the students immediately snapped to attention and turned to me.
It looks more like a military institution than a school.
Exactly. It's what we pride ourselves on. Discipline is of utmost importance in our school. We need more educated people, not soldiers. On that, we are aligned. I can assure you that our students are very well educated. In fact, our school is one of the top 10 middle schools in all of Swordland. Now we watch the students take their daily oath. And a boy and a girl went up to the stage, grabbed the microphones. The students turned to them.
I am a sword. My strength lies in my blood. I respect the honorable elders. I will protect the young. My life belongs to Swordland now and belongs to it forever. I will always follow the guiding light.
With great soul and great swords.
Ambario Escore, Veteran Sister.
I nodded at the kids, because it's only totally creepy.
Words to remember.
What? No one even remembers it after they graduate. If you wish to follow me, we'll take a look at one of our classrooms. Through the hallways, we made our way to classroom 7A. As soon as I entered, the whole classroom rose up and snapped to attention. Sit down, please. The students sat down. The same boy and girl walked up to us. These are our top students in our top class. This here's my son. The boy came before me and saluted me like a military officer. Tell Mr. President what you want to be.
Mr. President, I want to be a general, sir. I'm ready to sacrifice myself for my country and you, sir.
That is also really creepy, because this kid's like, 10? Jeez, this is nonsense. What are you teaching these students? And the principal looked extremely surprised. Was it not to your liking? I'm so sorry, Mr. President. And the cameras flashed. This is simply ridiculous. You're raising soldiers here, not students. I am so sorry. I'll immediately perform disciplinary actions. How about you, young lady? What do you think about this?
She's our top student in school. Her excellent grades are...
I didn't ask you. She bent down gently, just the student. What do you think about your school, just between us girls?
I'm sick of having to knit and sew with the boys are in science and chemistry. I'm smart and all, then why do I have to take these stupid handcraft classes?
Shh, do you know you're talking? Shut up, let us speak. Ciara's presence had emboldened the girl. She went on.
My math and reading scores are best in school, but they'll let me take a class I want just because I'm a girl. I'm a scientist, not some soldier's wife.
We need more people like you in this country. I applaud your determination. We need more than words. We need action. Concrete action. We need to protect girls like this. The cameras flashed once again. I looked around the classroom and saw a large portrait of Colonel Soul. Take that down. But, sir, it's a portrait of Colonel Soul. We can't just take it down. Don't make me repeat my words. The principal reluctantly took the portrait down. Even their porters looked confused for a minute before taking many photos of the portrait being taken down. Ciara was smiling, and when she realized I was looking at her, she nodded.
Well then, unfortunately we are almost out of time. We have other meetings to attend to today. Thank you for the warm welcome.
Mr. President, please go ahead. I'd like to speak with the girl alone. Very well. Thank you for visiting our school, sir. I'm very confused now. Come on, class. 1, 2. All students in the classroom yelled. The boy whom I met was the loudest.
A Morgan of Escore.
I mean, let's at least be somewhat polite. Faction staff. After the round of photos, we departed. That was only a really weird and creepy class trip. I realize it's the exact same every time, but still. Alright, looks like we just got the one report, so let's do that. From Whole Sword, increased police budget restores stability. Recent increases in the police budget have helped the police forces tremendously in dealing with protests all over the country. Arrests are being made swiftly and quickly with protecting the population. With the current forecast, we're expecting everything to return to normalcy very soon. Very nice. Alright, we got 4 newspapers here. We got 2 of them here from the Whole Sword Post. And so, first one, President visits school in Laren. The middle school in Laren received a special visit from President Rain and Minister of Education, Mrs. Walda. Students and staff at Thornhill School, one of the 5 most prestigious schools in East Southern, welcomed the special visitors on Thursday morning. President Rain had expressed his wish to visit the successful Thornhill School and spent the morning talking with staff and students, joining in with lessons, hosting question and answer sessions with the students. Through this visit, Thornhill is delighted to have had an opportunity to represent the fantastic job that all staff members have been doing. Cool. And Assembly talks about prayer language. Today, Kasara Keemer, the leader of the NFP, has proposed the Sordish Prayer Language Act to the Assembly. The proposed bill aims to standardize the language of prayer to Sordish in the entirety of Swordland. Prayer language has always been a controversial topic, as most of the religious ceremonies in the Berger region, where most of the Bluish population resides, conduct the prayers in Bluish. The proposal has caused heated discussions between the Bluish MPs and the NFP, resulting in a monsoon leak, with the leader of the Independence MPs leaving the Assembly in protest. Cool. And from Lockhaven Times, member of Assembly arrested. Mikhail Mussolini, an MP from the National Front Party, was arrested on Tuesday for supporting the Young Swords organization and aiding terrorism. At least 2 other NFP members were also detained, lawyers said, in a major escalation of the government's crackdown on its opponents in the wake of the murder of Bernard Circus. Raids also took place in the cities of Jen and Erlery. The raids took place against the backdrop of rising criticism over the government's purge, which also saw the issuing of arrest warrants against 2 editors of the Whole Sword Post, who were known to be supporters of the Young Swords organization. Well, too bad. I don't care. Alright, and from the Radical, President Rain, the USB, and the Colonel. On Friday morning, President Rain and Education Minister Walda visited the middle school in Laren, known to be a proudly Solus establishment. Thornhill School is one of the most popular middle schools in Swordland. During the visit, the President was seen speaking with the pupils and staff before he ordered the removal of Tarkin Soul's portrait from the building. The reasoning behind this controversial and brave move still stands as an unknown, but it will surely create problems for President Rain and his own party. This event might have very well been just for show, or a sign that there are widening cracks between President Rain and the USP. Or is this a sign that the USP is finally feeling the pressure and opting for a change in their values? Whatever the case may be, the foundations of the USP and the cult figure of Tarkin Soul seems to be losing its strength. Alright. That looks like everything, so let's head back to Laren, I guess. Let's see, briefing on the proposal of education reform. Well, we were still in Laren, staying in a modest guest house for state employees. Ciara set up a meeting with me and Lucy to go over plans for education reform after our school visit. Lucy was seated across from me at the table, going through documents. Ciara entered the room. After the visit yesterday, I couldn't even sleep thinking about that little boy and girl. I have never been more sure of my intentions to reform my education system. Lucy took off his reading glasses and put them on the table. I agree, an educational reform is necessary. Exactly. Those students have to repeat the same soulless propaganda every single day. They're being brainwashed in an age when their minds need to be free. On top of that, young girls are denied the same opportunity as boys. They're forced into the role of housewife before they even reach puberty. Nothing's changed since I went to school. Women like me, Lilius, Nia, even your wife, we had to study twice as hard to receive the same university education you and Lucy took for granted. Is that the kind of country you want your daughter to grow up in? Mr. President, we need to bring change. We need to free the minds of these young people. They are our future. Very well. What do we need to do for an education reform? We need to keep politics out of the curriculum. The soul should only be viewed as a historical figure. Children shouldn't have to repeat his name every day. This is actively poisoning young, bright minds. Instead of thinking for themselves, they're going to take things at face value. We also need to ensure boys and girls receive the same instruction. Handicrafts like knitting and sewing should be taught to both sexes or not at all. Swordsman's youth must be technically skilled and capable for the next decade. That won't be possible without with the amount of nationalistic indoctrination and narrow-minded thinking found in schools today. Either we raise a generation ready for challenges of the future or not. What will it be, Mr. President? I don't know. Lucy, what do you think?
As much as I respect Colonel Sewell, his time has passed. Now is our time. I do think this might be the first step of the larger plan.
Alright, well, I'm like 90% sure I need to reform the school system here. Let me double check. Yeah, absolutely. Reform the education system. You will not regret it. I'll get to work immediately.
Now that decision's made, let's move on.
Very well. Ciara skimmed over her documents before continuing. After the budget increase, the ministry quickly began formulating plans on how to effectively use the money. But before moving forward, the question of keeping education fully state-funded or allowing for new private schools remains open. Let's see, I'm pretty sure we want to keep don't privatize. So I don't even want to hear about it. Education should remain as a state service only. Certainly this is the most ideal situation. I agree. The government should be responsible for managing education completely.
Private education is inconsistent with our overall economic strategy of the planned economy.
A few minutes of deliberation passed. We have enough money to improve education solely. We do not need to complicate things further with privatization incentive. So, what's your decision? Keep education solely a matter of the state. We need to prevent interference from private interests. Will do. That should be it for now. I'll get to work and report back later.
This has been a very productive day. I'll be returning to Sword.
Thank you for your time, everybody. We dispersed after spending nearly the entire day together. I took a moment simply to breathe the fresh evening air of Baron. I felt calmer here somehow, but I would have to return to the chaos of whole swords soon enough. Perfect. Alright. Country overview here for welfare. We have modernized education techniques. It's just with the new educational reform, plenty of new education techniques are being introduced. And then education reform is just removing nationalistic indoctrination. Perfect. The journal, I'm guessing it's just, saying we kept the education free and working on reforms. So let's hit the newspapers. Looks like we got two of them. So first up is from the Lockhaven Times. Keebner, Rain is making a mistake. The head of Swordsman's second opposition party, the National Front Party, Kasara Keebner, said President Rain will not be able to keep ruling the country without addressing policies that have negatively affected our security, culture, and economy. He blamed President Rain for not being open to any discussions about proper reforms. Keebner also criticized the PFJP leader, Franz Richter, for supporting President Rain. The NFP cannot be part of this nonsensical collaboration anymore, as it has been transformed into an anti-nationalist committee, said Keebner. He also explained his concerns over how PFJP supported Caucasian imperialism and only cared about profit at the expense of the Swordfish people. Rain is making a mistake by working together with Richter, said Keever, and criticized the committee for not discussing the real issues that surround Sortland. I don't know, like to say, nationalism is politics for basic people. We're definitely not going to be working with the nationalists here. Alright, and then the second one is from the Radical. Demonstrators arrested. Tens of thousands of demonstrators were driven out from city centers by riot police this week. According to ground sources, thousands have been detained. The government has still not declared the real numbers or the identities of the individuals. The government cracked down on the protests around the country as swift and brought an end to the chaos in major cities such as Soul Sword and Lockhaven. Reports from mayors around the country came in today saying that the protests are under control and stability will return. Coolio. Alright, not seeing any reports or anything, so let's just head to Whole Sword. Where there are 2 reports. Perfect. Alright, Ministry of Education started work on education reform. Minister of Education Ciara Waldo is reporting that she's begun working on the approved education reform. The details of the education reform will be finalized over the upcoming months. If the reform package is accepted, the next steps in this process would be to discuss the indoctrination of education. Coolio. And United Quintana launches second satellite. Intelligence reports United Quintana has successfully launched a second satellite, which has the capability of radio communications. This means that United Quintana radio communications will be able to be transmitted through a satellite for the first time ever, a technology that no other country currently possesses. That's kind of cool. Alright, meeting with Gloria Tori on planned reforms. I arrived at the Grand National Assembly, which was only a 5-minute drive away from the palace. Today I had a private meeting with Gloria Tori, one of the leading figures of the USP, to get her approval for a proposal. She was also key in reaching 150 signatures to propose a new constitution, as she had extensive control over her party's conservative and moderate wings. As I walked through the corridors of the Grand National Assembly, I was confronted by my memories of the historic building. Despite being a member of the Assembly not too long ago, it now felt like a distant past. I walked into the left wing of the Assembly, which currently acted as the quarters of the USP. Gloria's office was the first one inside. I knocked on the door and entered. Good morning, Mrs. Tori.
Good to see you here, Mr. Rain.
It was a small, neatly organized office. There were small figurines, photos, and plants around the place. It had a homey feel, unlike my own office. Like my own assembly office when I had worked there. On her gesture, I took a seat. The chair was very uncomfortable. How are you doing, Mrs. Tori?
I'm fine, Mr. Rain. How are you?
As good as I can be.
That's what we all strive for. Anyway, let's keep this simple, Mr. Rain. We both know why you're here. You want me to give you my support. I don't see why the backbone of USP is support your Russian reforms. Don't you realize they go directly against the wishes of the founder of this party and the state?
My reforms are very critical for the future sword, Mrs. Tori.
They are certainly critical for destroying what our party has worked so hard to build. Even with everything you owe Colonel Saul, I think you never liked him, nor the party he built.
There's nothing personal about this, Mrs. Tori.
Whatever you intend to do, you'll be facing quite the opposition. That's all I can say.
I'm sure we can make a deal.
I'm not so sure about that. Especially considering the fact that you're trying to change the number of honor laws. This is clearly a move against President Saul. You want to punish him for the aggressive policies he pursued in the past? Is that the intention here? You can't win this fight, Mr. President. Saul built this republic in the midst of blood and chaos. He demands respect.
Let's see. I'm not sure if it really makes a difference what I say in this part. Alright, let's go with that. This isn't about Saul.
Isn't it? You've promised to reform our government branches, yet your proposal points to another agenda.
What are you talking about? There is no agenda.
Oh, I'm sure there isn't.
Let's see. Alright, even though I'm completely looking to put him on trial later, let's just tell her we aren't. Look, I promise we won't touch him. These ancient laws should be removed.
Fine, let's talk about your other points. I must say that I like the changes regarding the appointment of ministers as one positive aspect, but moving on. It is unbelievable that you're taking away the immunity of the justices, a big mistake. Even though the assembly is elected by the people, it is not enough judicial insight and neutrality to impeach justices. Separation of powers shouldn't be damaged. This is something I cannot accept. I don't see anything democratic here, Mr. President, can you? This will benefit the party. I continue to disagree. So, what are you thinking about? Are you ready to make changes to your proposal, or should we keep talking past each other? Mrs. Tory, please try to understand me. I cannot give concessions now. She raised an eyebrow and then took a look at the proposal on her table. You know what? I feel extra generous today. I believe I can give you the help you require. She repositioned herself on the chair. Please don't forget, Mr. President. The Conservatives will be expecting a lot from you. Whatever you need, Mrs. Story. Good. I can get you the signatures needed for the proposal. I'll talk to the other Conservatives. I hope there won't be any surprises, though, Mr. President. What surprises? We have to calculate every possibility, Mr. President. After all, I do not see eye to eye with you on your other policies. And especially with your promotion of Eastern Valleys, getting closer to United Tunnel will definitely create huge problems for us. I hope you're not going to follow through with that idea to the end. Flirting with Millennialists only brings trouble. Of course, I can't guarantee that all Conservatives in the party will vote for constitutional changes. I have serious reservations about privatizing healthcare or the sort of state corporation. This part of my faction can't change. And that will depend to some extent on your policies, but signatures at least are as good as gathered. Signatures aren't enough. We'll need votes from all the ESP. Well, that's politics for you. She smiled. I'll do what I can. Before we finish, there's one thing I need to say. I am concerned with oligarchs and the state of our economy. I'm worried they may influence you for their own benefit. We expect you to succeed where our fathers have failed in resisting their siren call. If you start privatizing healthcare state-owned corporations, I doubt I can help you. I don't plan on privatizing anything, so don't worry, that won't happen. Good. She stood up. I believe I made myself clear. Thanks for stopping by, Mr. President. I hope you'll hold your promises. She extended her hand to me for a handshake. Once I shook her hand, she immediately sat back down. But now I need to go back to my duties. If you'll excuse me, Mr. President. I'll be expecting your wing support, Mrs. Story. She only responded with a nod as I left office. The Conservative side is handled, but to get the 150 signatures needed, I would still have to deal with Albin Clavin and the former swing. I went outside. Serge drove me back to the palace where I met Lucy and told him about the progress I made with Gloria. Cool. That was easier than I expected. I hope that doesn't backfire, but I guess we'll see. Alright, let's go meet with Albin Clavin then. After a meeting with Gloria Tory and further discussions with the party and my cabinet, it was time to talk to Albin Clavin to get their former swing to support the proposal. I also plan to finally present a more fleshed out proposal and declare our agenda to the party after the meeting. I walked into the left-wing assembly and entered the quarters of the USP. When I reached the meeting hall, I saw many of our members conversing inside. After taking a glimpse inside, I went back into the corridor to look for the office of Albin Clavin, which was around the back of the place. When I reached his room, I knocked on his door and entered. Mr. President, welcome. The whole room surrounded by bookshelves packed with files and papers. It was a small office with books and dossiers lying on every corner. I felt claustrophobic. On his gesture, I took a seat. Did a bomb drop in your office? He laughed. You could say that. So much research and preparation needs to be done on these plans we're working on. How's everything going for you, Mr. President? It's pretty tough. I can't imagine the work you're dealing with up there. I want to express my gratitude for passing the Workers' Rights Act as one of my most comprehensive and successful political efforts. The workers' revolution will begin with small steps. One would think I was stuck in a small there. The party doesn't support such ideologies, as you know. Personally, there are some principles I respect in millennialism, but I wouldn't accept it in its entirety. Albin smiled and knocked on wood. Anyway, sir, let's talk about the proposal. Thanks for coming here for my input, because there are some subjects where Gloria and I don't see eye to eye. I have to say that most progressives are already starting to warm up to you. Your attempt to change the Constitution created quite a bit of excitement. One could dare to say an excitement that has been felt since the 30s. Yet there are some issues with the current status of the draft proposal, so we may contain our excitement for a little longer. I suspect that Mrs. Tory had a lot of influence on this proposal, but I can't support it, as in its current state. Okay, what's the problem? Well, where to even begin? The reformers were expecting reform about the term limits. Why is that not included in the proposal?
It's only my first term. It's too soon to bring term limits. So, you also want to use the flaws of the system for your own benefit. Would you tell me, what is your priority with this proposal? Let's see. I don't think the guide's going to be super helpful for this because, yeah, it's kind of the wrong thing. That's okay. So I'm just going to go with limiting legislative powers of the Supreme Court. And you're doing more than that, aren't you? Taking away the immunity of the justice, giving power to impeach the Parliament. Giving the power to impeach to the Parliament, there we are, which are, or should I say, your party controls. Do you want me to believe that? And there is more. I thought there would be some reform about the extensive degree powers. He stared directly into my eyes. Look, we need the decrees to pass further reforms. Can't give away everything. You should at least do something about term limits. That's a no. That's a shame. He looked down at the proposal. He took a deep breath and let out a long sigh. But unfortunately, Mr. President, this is not enough. Either we change more, or perhaps there's something else you could offer me? Sure, I'll offer you something else. Wink, wink. That was just a weirdly suggestive sentence. I'm all ears. If you give us your support, you're my VP in my next cabinet. An interesting proposal. One that's very hard to turn down. Especially now that I think we align, Mr. President. Can I hold you to that promise? I don't intend to run with Pater again. It'll be you, I promise. Good. Then it seems like we have a deal. I will talk to my guys shortly. I'll have their signature soon. Thank you, Mr. Clavin. See you in the conference, Mr. President. I left his room and went back into the corridor. The meeting had exhausted me. I went to the restaurant of the Assembly to get something to eat while conversing with other members of our party. I saw Albin talking to his people in the distance. After a while, the preparations for the conference began. I went back into the conference hall and prepared my notes for the speech I was going to make. It took time to get all the present members of the party inside the hall. Gloria and Tori announced me from the stand. I walked up to the stand as everybody in the room started clapping. Brothers and sisters of United Swordmen, I came here today to announce the agenda for the future of our country. I started my speech with the reasons for the changes to the Constitution. Our system and institutions have increasingly become undemocratic over the decades after Soul Titan's grip on the country. Since then, we have a Supreme Court that obstructs the duties of the President and the Assembly. We must finally be brave enough to go against the status quo that they created and write a new Constitution. I paused with when some people started clapping, but it was short-lived. After taking a breath, I continued. Brought attention to democracy and why we must write a more democratic constitution. I explained how our proposal will fix the issues. The left side of the hall where Albin sat started applauding. Later, I explained the contents of the new constitution and asked for the full support for the proposal. I asked for each and every member's vote to make a change together. The reformist wing on the left stood up and started clapping loudly after Albin Clavin made a sign. Soon after, most of the party members stood up and joined in. I saluted everybody in the room one last time, bid them farewell before leaving the stand. I walked outside the assembly and back into the palace. Alright, well, hopefully that'll work out, but not so sure just yet. We'll see. Alright, so we have one newspaper here from the Wholesale Post. President meets the USP. Today, President Reigns met with his party members in a party meeting in the Grand National Assembly of Swordmen, where the current situation of the country and future plans of the party were likely discussed. It was later reported that President Reign used the meeting to give a speech to the party and announce the contents of the first draft of the new Constitution. The details of the meeting were not made public, nor what the draft contained. Perfect. Alright. Well, that appears to be the end of the churn, so that feels like as good a spot as any to go on call for today. So, as always, thank you all very much for watching. I hope to see you next time.